As we near the end of January, James Gunn's promise of announcing some of his upcoming slate comes closer and closer, and honestly, by the time I upload this video, there's a good chance that it already was announced, or if you're watching this maybe the day after, there's a really big chance that it already has been announced. But this video will go over some hints from the last week that probably doesn't have anything to do with that announcement. It doesn't really have anything to do with the early movies. There is one that does, but I don't think it has anything to do with what will be announced, which will probably just be the first couple of movies and TV shows, their release dates and their titles, and no details about them. So if you're watching this in the future, or the announcement has already been announced by the time I uploaded this video, then just know that this video is still relevant, as it is about things that may or not happen that has been hinted at for the entire 10-year plan, not just the beginning of it, which is what the announcement will be about. With that out of the way though, this video will probably be a bit shorter because there isn't really all that many hints, but that's just because the announcement comes right after this. So let's start with the first hint. The first hint to go over is actually a double hint. It starts with this reply on Instagram to a fan saying that I guess Warner Brothers should buy Image characters because DC's roster isn't big enough, which first of all is utterly ridiculous on two accounts. First of all, to say that Warner Brothers should just casually buy Image character movie rights is a bit wild, but also to say that DC doesn't have a deep roster is beyond stupid. James Gunn replied with a similar sentiment, although he said it in a much nicer way, saying that between DC, Wildstorm, and Milestone, they have the deepest roster in the world, which I would definitely agree with. I think DC's universe has a lot more characters than, say, Marvel, although Marvel definitely is pretty close. This hints at characters from Wildstorm and Milestone getting their own movies, their own TV shows, or at the very least appearances in certain TV shows and movies in the DC movie universe. For anybody who doesn't know, these two worlds kind of fluctuate between being a part of the mainline DC universe and being their own universe. The important Wildstorm characters that have become important DC characters as well are Midnighter, Apollo, and Grifter, although there are much more Wildstorm characters who are important in their own universe like Zealot, Mr. Majestic, Caitlin Fairchild, the Engineer, and Spartan, and also many others. Milestone has fewer characters, but their biggest character is easily the most popular out of all of these, that being Static, who is easily the most incorporated into the main DC universe and has had the most success in outside media, mostly due to his animated show and the fact that it's set in the DC animated universe, although they also have other characters like Hardware, Icon, and Rocket, all of whom at the very least have appeared in Young Justice. This hint was doubled on Twitter when James Gunn liked this tweet from the main artist behind the latest Static comic, who wondered whether or not James Gunn is a fan of Static or any of the Milestone characters, and if he has plans for them. These two hints combined are also 5 days apart, and practically confirm that there are plans for at the very least Milestone characters, but also probably Wildstorm. Like I said, Static is definitely the most popular of these characters, and I would say he definitely has the name recognition to have his own TV show, which he has had in the past, or even his own movie. In either of them, you could introduce the other Milestone characters and spin them off into their own projects, like an Icon movie or maybe a Hardware movie, although I feel like Hardware would draw too many comparisons to Cyborg to ever become his own thing. Over at Wildstorm, I could definitely see Midnighter and Apollo getting their own show, or even their own movie, although either of them will be hated on by a certain group of people. I could definitely see Grifter getting his own show as well, and I could even see a show or movie about the Authority happening, even if it is the more recent Superman version, which does feature Midnighter and Apollo, or the original version, which is entirely made up of Wildstorm characters. As of right now, I doubt these characters are of top priority, and honestly they shouldn't be, but anything is possible in this 3 media genre spanning 8 to 10 year plan that Gunn is laying out. So this is a minor one, but somebody tweeted that we haven't seen a friendship between Jimmy Olsen and Superman in movies in over 40 years, which is something that I have noticed as well and mentioned in previous videos, like the DCU version was swiftly killed off, and it's not just movies, it's live-action TV shows as well. Like in the last decade, Jimmy Olsen was a main character on Supergirl for most of the show's run, but has yet to appear on Superman and Lois. A fan replied to this tweet saying, "In James Gunn we trust," which is the tweet that James Gunn liked. This hints at least one aspect of Gunn's Superman movie, which, if you're watching this in the future or the announcement has already come out, you may already know what it's called, which is that it'll feature Jimmy Olsen in some capacity. This isn't really all that surprising. It always felt like James Gunn was going to make a down-to-the-root Superman movie with all of Superman's iconic supporting cast, like Lex Luthor, Perry White, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen. I just hope that the villain isn't something we've seen before. I'm really hoping for Brainiac. I can't believe we still haven't gotten Brainiac. The final hint is about Titans, or more specifically Nightwing, as well as the Doom Patrol. You probably already heard that Titans and Doom Patrol are ending after their 4th seasons, and these seasons have been confirmed to have been given proper series finales, and overall, just hearing that, I'm pretty okay with these two shows ending. Honestly, I'm more than okay with Titans ending. It's just a bad show overall, giving us some pretty terrible adaptations of a lot of these characters, and I'm very ready to get new and better versions of these characters in the new universe. Doom Patrol is a much better show, but to be honest, it kind of felt like it was time to end it as well. The 4th season isn't really up to par with the first 3, especially with what they're doing with like Cyborg, who is just a person. I really hate it when TV shows do things like that, so I think ending it in season 4, before it can overstay its welcome, it'll probably be remembered more fondly. But what does this have to do with the new universe? Well, for one, all DC shows fall under James Gunn's umbrella now, which has led to Gunn being blamed for these shows ending, to which he said that the decision predates him. People responded that he now has the power to reverse that decision, to which he responded that that's not how TV shows work. I'm not really entirely sure what he means by this, like maybe HBO Max decided to end the show independently of DC, or once they decide to end the show, they can't just undecide to end it, everything's already in motion. I'm not entirely sure, but if I'm being honest, I don't really care if he could've or not, because like I said, I think both of these shows ending in season 4 is fitting for very different reasons, but it is true for both of them. The real reason this connects to the DC movie universe is that James Gunn liked 3 tweets hinting at the Doom Patrol and Nightwing being a part of the new universe. The first tweet hopes that Gunn has plans for the Doom Patrol, and the second tweet says that they would love to see the Doom Patrol in the DC Universe. Because they already had a show, I think it'd be cool to not give them a show, but a movie, which honestly I could definitely see James Gunn directing. It feels very up his alley, it feels very similar to the Guardians of the Galaxy, like tone-wise, the fact that they're like the D-listers or the C-listers, and they fight all these unusual villains. I could definitely see James Gunn directing a Doom Patrol movie, but what I would love to see from this potential movie is vastly different characterizations compared to the show. I thought the show was great, not to say it's bad or anything. It's very well written and very well shot, and the characters get an insane amount of development. But as a superhero fan, watching a superhero show, expecting superhero things with the preconceived notion of who the Doom Patrol was from any animated content they appeared in, I thought the show was lacking in that regard. I would love to see a Doom Patrol movie where they are more heroic. They are an actually competent superhero team who just so happen to fight the most unusual villains in the DC universe. The last tweet is a fan saying that they have faith that James Gunn will give them another version of Nightwing in the years to come in response to the fact that Titans is ending. Now, this isn't anything new. Nightwing has been hinted at multiple times in the past, and yeah, I do expect a new live-action Dick Grayson in the next few years. Hopefully, whoever will play him can finally give us a good, modern live-action Dick Grayson, since in my opinion, that doesn't exist yet, and there has never been a good live-action in Nightwing, because the Titans version is kind of an asshole. I don't like him. So that is it for this video. Like I said, not nearly as much as previous weeks, like there was just about Wildstorm, Milestone, Jimmy Olsen, Titans, and Doom Patrol, and that is it, which made for a much shorter video. But this is definitely the calm before the storm, as maybe today, maybe tomorrow, any day now, we'll be getting the announcements of the first couple of movies, maybe the first couple of TV shows as well, in James Gunn's DC universe. Thanks for watching, bye.